All right, we will get started. So, when last we left off a couple weeks ago, Aesopp and the Left Stars had found victory in the Tournament of Tales, besting other charismatic storytellers across Ventus in the 3-day competition that had been put on by Avindir. As you all are waiting Aesopp's victory party later in this week, you've enjoyed some rest and relaxation. And by that I mean Aesopp had a quote-unquote date with Jory, sort of, not really. And the rest of the party scoped out the VIPs, specifically trying to get a line on a woman named Ellen Trugust, who had been seen in a private meeting with Klax's target, Selny Von, the Mistress in Red. Mouse had sussed out the general layout of the mayor's office, but as you all kind of questioned how to continue in that investigation without getting Avindir in trouble, that conversation lingered to the next afternoon when Avindir notified you that he was ready to have a meeting about paperwork for a patronage. You all went to the Rising Melody, where you are now. Avindir had just gone over the high-level version of the contract. It is in the Discord notes channel if you wish to look at it again. But in short, it establishes that you all could remain an independent entity whom he would sponsor or provide a stipend for just sort of continued friendship and potential work together, as well as the promise to sponsor an application to become a guild, should you choose to exercise that. And is sort of in that moment where he has finished presenting some of these details to you. You see the paper has sort of been passed around at this point at the table you all are sitting at. Avindir himself has another copy that you see he's holding on to, and he is just sort of looking around the table to gauge your reactions.
Can anyone hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Yes,
Cool.
we can.
Got it.
Who wants to go first? So, in reading this,
I think we were all pretty positive on it.
yeah, just in reading this contract, you're gonna pay us. Sorry, my dog's antsy. You're gonna pay us all this money just to kind of stay with you, and you'll even help us get set up as a guild if we want. I mean, it's to me seems like it's a pretty no-brainer.
He looks at you and says, "Well, yes. I mean, the objective I have is that you have no obligations to serve my needs. Of course, I will have things that I may need your help with. But I see this as a investment in good in the world, so to speak, and you all seem worthy of it, I believe. It's not entirely selfless. I have things on my mind that I could use some help with. And I do recognize that while the contract states that you don't necessarily serve me in a as subordinates of any kind, that I do still hold some position of power in this relationship.
Of course, I didn't mean to imply otherwise, but on my end, and again, no I will not cause any trouble for you, but I've already been closer to some of the things I've been searching after in this short time being in your employ than I've been in a long time, so you can count me in.
He kind of just nods at Clax, but continues to look to anybody else who has thoughts.
I mean, this contract looks great. I'm a little weirded out that you think we're up for guild sponsorship. Just something I never really considered. Just for the group of 5 of us who just met maybe several months ago. Seems a little too sudden for me, but that may be just me.
I'm feeling cautiously optimistic, which is not a usual feeling, so that's fun. But the cautions, I feel you there.
I think you are all overthinking this, Avindir included. He has things we can help with, and we have things he can help us with. It all seems like just what we should be doing, no?
It's true.
Well, it's worth noting that formalizing this relationship does. People will know. And I say this not to hint at anything, but when a relationship like this exists, we sort of acknowledge that my friends are your friends and your friends are my friends. But that goes for people who may not be friendly either, or friendly as well. So I don't. I would hope.
Is
that you don't
Avindir looking at anyone when he's saying this?
You can roll an insight check. I think Avindir.
Would you mind rolling an insight check? I'm not yet
Yes.
to my laptop. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
Totally fair, and also because I broke Foundry, I'm going to have to figure some of this out. You have rolled a 15, and what I will tell you with that is that the only read you can get off of that is that he probably is thinking about something, but he's not giving away what it is.
For later? Cool.
And he says, well, so just sort of saying that maybe we are overthinking this. I feel good about this as well, but it's just worth noting that it does mean something to have it written down.
Agreed. Just my slight bamboozlement, but other than that, I think it's exactly what we all wanted in various different ways. Works for me.
Like I said before, I've done worse for less. Looks great to me.
Let's go, kids. Woo-hoo.
Where do we sign?
Very well. You see he sort of in looking at each of you with a nod to kind of get just sort of a visual confirmation that all is good. He takes the sheet that he gave you and pulls out a pen from the inside of his jacket, and you see that as there's a space on the bottom where he is signing kind of above there's a line that's like for patron, right? And then there's a line for each of you. As he signs on his, you see that it is immediately transferred to the second copy as well. And he'll pass around his pen and the one copy that you all had been looking at as you all sort of make your mark on this document in whatever way that may look like.
I'll grab the document, but I won't grab the pen. I'll grab the pen and hand it to the next person online and just take out Calliope and write my name on it. And then push it forward.
Yep, it works without issue. and it copies onto the document. But assuming everybody sort of makes their mark in some form or fashion, I'm kind of curious if what does I think most people probably have a signature, but what does Mouse do?
I was thinking about this because Mouse has certainly never signed anything before, except maybe paperwork that they made her sign at the Skyport. But watching everybody else, because it's clear everybody's taking this really seriously, Mouse would probably wait and go last and observe everybody else to try to figure out what hers should look like. And ultimately just kind of scribble on the line, because I'm sure that's at least one
par
of you
for the
has
course. Yeah,
terrible handwriting.
yeah. I think if anybody has amazing handwriting, it's probably Aesopp. Maybe Flint as well, but less so Flint.
Yeah, less so, but decent.
Yeah. Flint doesn't
I
write in
imagine
cursive,
Drada
but it
having
is.
terrible handwriting.
I want to say it's already been established that you are entirely correct.
As the last signature hits the page, there's sort of a pearlescent shimmer to both documents. Just an effect that kind of, without having to make any kind of arcana roll, the impression you get is like it has been sealed. Whether you might, how does bureaucratic magic work? Who knows? But he hands you. He sort of like rolls up the version that you all had written on and hands it to probably Aesopp, just as the person who he has probably talked to the most, I would say. Hands it to Aesopp and says, well, that's that. Should you ever need to prove our relationship, this should suffice. But I suppose we are in business, so to speak.
I'll like casually hand the document to Flint, who I'm pretty sure has the bag of holding, and be like, I think this is better in here.
I will store it away in the bag of holding.
Well, I don't have anything prepared right now for a toast, but perhaps I'll make sure to pull you aside at the party later this week and make sure that we can have a little bit of a celebration. But I know some of you are eager to sort of learn some details on things that I could use some help on. Is this something you'd want to discuss now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As I look around, make sure everybody's on board because I'm excited to do something.
He says, very well. And he just sort of says, let me get some food in the back or some drinks. I'll be back. And he sort of excuses himself to give you guys a moment to chat without his presence, as he starts to wrangle up a like charcuterie board or something along those lines.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm excited. Like, do you know how many years I would have had to be a city guard to make this kind of money?
It is
Man.
definitely a lot of money.
It's been how many weeks since we've met? Like collectively?
3-ish? Let me look at the calendar.
4
4 and a
something like
half.
that.
Regardless, it's a wild amount of time for us to have traveled, and here we fucking are. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading this right. If we just really, like, when he comes back to the table, get real rude and piss him off so that he wants to, tear up the contract, we just get an immediate 2,000 gold to walk away.
Seems unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. Let's not do that.
Yeah, we could just pillage cities and get the same amount of gold, right?
Oh, you guys are alright.
Is there anything we have like on our like docket that we
So-
really need to make sure we do? You know, in case he comes and tells us of something else.
Oh.
Like,
I was gonna say, I mean, I still want to continue our investigations a little bit if we can on the down low, but on that, I know Bali had mentioned something about, or Mayor Brightbeard, my apologies, had mentioned something about they have some problems with their mines, I believe, or quarry.
Avindir had hinted at that. You hadn't spoken to Bali
Oh,
directly.
sorry, bad note taking.
I think whatever we do is fine. I don't think we want to leave town until the celebration at the end of the week, but
true.
That's the only thing on my plate is the celebration at the end of the week, and then I want to just chilling with y'all.
Also means more bread.
Always more bread. Always more bread.
Avindir comes back after a few minutes and nothing fancy, just sort of some table snacks as the conversation continues. And he also has a few other. He, along with the board, the sort of simple charcuterie board, and like a jug of water. He also has a book with him that has a paper tucked inside. He says, well, couple things on my mind. You are not, of course, obligated to do any of these, but I just wanted to let you know what I'm working on, and if you have a desire to assist, then I would certainly accept it. But he pulls out of the book the loose sheaf of paper, and he sort of puts it at the center of the table. What he shares with you is a schedule of the auction dates for the Ayrshire brandy that are going to be going all around continents. I'm putting this in the items. So if in top right corner, there's a briefcase, Avindir brandy auction dates. There should be an item that has everything there. Long story short, you don't need to read this right now, but he, as he sort of puts this down on the table, he says, we've drafted this schedule. I actually have to run it over to the consonants to kind of get it approved, but then I'm planning to head back here. Gris and I are going to take the majority of our cargo and either load it on the ship or put it on a caravan. Gris has all the details, but basically over the course of the entire fall season, we're making a circuit around Ventus to drop off the kegs that are to be auctioned. These are not auctions that I'm myself hosting. They're, because of the nature of these goods, they are sort of going through various mandates. So I drop them off, and the local governing party will do the rest of the work from there. But it's, of course, each one of these things is a bit of a king's ransom, so a little extra security never hurts. It's also a good opportunity to meet people along the way. I have a number of contacts I could introduce you to. That's the first thing, and he sort of just shuffles that over to one of you and says, Additionally, and potentially as part of this, because I am soon going to become Lord of Vind, there's sort of two things I'm trying to do with that. I'm trying to make preparations back in Vind, make sure everything's squared away there that needs to be taken care of, as well as just trying to make allies amongst other lords and ladies across Ventus. So in that way, it wouldn't necessarily be about you doing something specific for me, but if you were to go off on your own and frankly attached my name to some of your deeds, it may benefit us both. Does all that make sense so far? Or do people have questions?
So far, so good. Oh, good.
I was gonna say the making allies part isn't you want us to like go meet them and negotiate with them necessarily directly. Just go do good things and mention that we are allies of yours.
Yeah, I leave it up to your discretion on how you want to do it. I suppose if you, in your travels, find that there is a need in one town or another, and you're able to settle that need, and happen to be celebrated for that, then perhaps my name will come up. If there is something I can do to assist you with that, I mean, of course, if I hear anything of note that needs to be taken care of, then I may reach out to you and see if you would be willing to take care of it. So it's not just you don't have to just go looking for things. I might find things for you.
So I think my biggest question would be for the brandy auctions, and I understand it's kind of escort duty to an extent and so forth. Do you believe there's any reason to need the extra protection? Like, do you have any known threats? Has anybody reached out to you? Has any, city watches or intelligence said anything to you that would give anything away?
Generally, year by year, we have not had issues. The nature of this business is that everything is quite traceable. Things rarely go missing. And people, investors tend to enjoy access to this, and few people who have caused problems in the past are now, well, you don't have to worry about them, we'll say. It's the short version. But there are just sort of risks associated with being on a caravan or being on an airship, more of the wildlife variety, especially going through the tundral wastes up north. Of course, the captain of my ship will be on hand to navigate any of the air threats, but security could be helpful in those sorts of situations. And then it's just a matter of being cautious.
Okay. And then for...
sorry.
go right.
The nature of my retirement, I'm not sure how that changes things with the people's trust.
So then for the allies that you're looking to gain favor with, are there any low-hanging fruit or ones that would be top of the list that are either ones that you think need the help that would benefit greatly from it?
Well, I did mention, I think, to you about the local mayor.
Mm-hmm.
He is particularly upset about my retirement because it means less business coming into the city as I move my operation elsewhere. He has a problem that is slowly being investigated in the local quarry, and I could imagine that helping him fix that would at least put a bandage on that relationship.
Anything outside of here?
There's still the matter of, the sort of goes into my other point about fixing up Vind. There's the Lambert family there who has been quite a pain. They're not quite happy with me taking the reins instead of them after Lord Brownmore retired. So it's possible that there could be something done to persuade their favor. Otherwise, word hasn't quite gotten out yet to the point that I've really been able to gauge people's reactions and know who it is that I need to make friends with. These are just the two that come to mind, but it may be that as word of my retirement spreads, that I get a few letters of disgruntled folks.
Seems like Bali might be the closest option to where we are now.
And it's something we could do while we wait for the party.
Potentially. Depends on how long it would take us to deal with this quarry.
Fair feels fair.
He would probably want me to notify him rather than just send you there. I think he did send some people in to investigate it recently, but that was, I believe, I feel like they're a little overdue, so I might just need to get his permission before you all can go spelunking there without breaking in, per se.
What kind of things do they mine in this quarry?
It was a stone quarry. They pulled a lot of the local statues from it, as well as various sort of stone trade that goes to the neighboring cities, as far as I know. But I think that I think rumor was that they pulled out a stone of some kind and discovered a passage behind it. So it's I think that's sort of the question, really, is what value is there, and is it safe?
Sounds like an adventure to me.
Well, I could, if you are all amenable to that, I could reach out to him tonight and perhaps get you guys on that tomorrow morning.
Good. We can stop by here to see if you've heard anything.
Sure. Should say, and he pulls out the book as well that the paper was tucked into. Of course, while we're local, we can communicate here, but I figured since you all might be going in your own direction that I would provide this. And he slides a book forward, and then out of his jacket, again, pulls out a matching book, and he says, similar to the contracts that we signed earlier, this book here will communicate with my book here. So if we ever need to exchange messages, then this is an avenue for you to do that.
That is really impressive.
He hands, at this point he's just seeing that Flint is taking stuff. Flint, I'm dropping it in your inventory, although the character sheet looks weird. It's referred to as a distant journal. Basically, it's a book that has 100 charges. Every time you send or receive a message, it eats up a page, regardless of how long the message is. And it glows when it has a message. Like there's a gem on the front that glows when you have a pending message receiving.
I'm happy to carry it, but well, Aesopp is Naruto running away. But sure, I'll hang on to it.
You can give it Aesopp later when he gets back if you want.
Maybe. I was just gonna say, book feels very Aesopp-like.
Plus, if it's in the bag of holding, we'll never know when a message comes in.
That's true.
Bag of holding is just your phone on mute.
Exactly.
There you go.
He brought a whole picture with himself.
Aesopp, do you actually want to hang on to this distant journal?
Sure, I'll add it to my collection of books.
Yeah, it seemed very book-like. Plus, we were all kind of just saying, if we put it in the bag of holding, we might not notice if we get a new message come in.
That makes sense.
Also, just love this brand for you. Like Plax is the tough one. Aesopp's the literate one.
Sure. You're...
I mean, I think we can all read. I say, looking at Mouse side-eye a little.
You can read. You can read. It's fine.
I just put it in chat so you know precisely what it does. But
Is there any way you could add it to the character sheet, or is it just weird now?
It is in your character sheet. It's just the character sheet is weird looking. So it's under consumables.
I don't feel like the character sheet looks that much different to me. Like, it looks a little different, but it's
The attributes page to me is very different.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. We'll talk.
Anyway.
I'll fix it to my desire later.
I logged in expecting everything to seem much different, or
So did I.
or something, and I was like, "Oh, this all seems normal to me." I have a much less discerning eye.
Well, you can use this. Sorry, of course, while you're this has limited uses, so please do come here while I'm here at the very least. But and if we're on the road together, if you choose to join for the beginning or wish to rendezvous with us during some portion of the auctions, then we can just check in then as well.
Now, it's only like a 2-book system. We can't add another book into the mix.
I could have another one made, but these 2 that we have here are specially linked to each other.
Okay. I was just curious.
Well, other than that, I feel like that's probably all I have for now. I know that's still not a lot, but in time, I'm sure opportunities will arise, and at the very least, if you want to join for just the very first leg of our tour, as we go to Consonance, then I can. You'll be able to withdraw the first stipend from the treasury in Consonance. So it might be a good opportunity to plan to come up for at least that leg of the trip. But I can reach out to the mayor and try to get this all set up for tomorrow if that's what you're most interested in right now.
When does the journey start? Your journey start?
We are. Sorry, as a DM, I have to pull this up.
You're fine.
We're planning to leave after the party, actually, just to go get this schedule approved. But then we'll be coming back and hauling our load to Consonance, probably on the 1st of fall. Is when we would leave Horizon, I should say.
And since I can't manage to pull up the calendar, how many days until the 1st of fall?
No, it's fine. And it got moved, so it's currently 2.5 weeks
19?
away.
Oh, okay, we have a lot of time before you guys leave. I feel like, and I look at everyone else, I'm like, I feel like we can, if we wanted to do the thing for Bolly Brightbeard, I feel like we could do both.
So
Time. And if not, we can at least try and maybe learn something new that helps the next people to attempt.
This is also true.
Very well. Let me get started, and you are welcome to stay as long as you like, but I'm going to start writing a letter and have it sent to him. So he sort of stands up and nods and sort of smiles a bit as he is just sort of recognizing that that business is happening, and he seems pleased, and he goes to the back office to sort of start working on his letter that he'll eventually send to Bali. But for now, the day is yours.
What do you
What's
guys want to
next
get?
on our agenda, guys?
Good. Snooping part 2.
I was gonna say, where'd we leave off with the lady in red? We had spied on the dinner at the mayor's estate.
Yeah, you had discovered that the previous night there was a dinner party
Yeah.
that a number of VIPs had attended, and that's kind of where things left off.
Do we think it's worth it to try to get inside the dinner party?
Well,
I'm
as we're.
happy. Go for it.
Oh no, go right ahead, Rada.
I mean, I'm happy to do my best waiter impression and serve all of the drinks that the rich people drink. Whatever we think works best.
I almost wonder, since Mayor Brightbeard's definitely has conversation with True Gas and seems to be in the know, do we do this solid? It gets, men's things with Avindir and him, and then maybe we can get some information out of him without being too overt or risk getting a spider stepped on, or somebody caught sneaking around the building.
Well, and as I sit here and look at our group as a whole, I don't know that any of us are great waiter material. Just sneak in and try to not be noticed. I think we're all kind of
How
noteworthy.
dare you? I I'm an exceptional waiter for 1 hour, as long as a spell is kept up in which I pretend to look like a waiter.
Have you ever waited
I'm
tables
pretty good
before?
at getting people what they want. Like,
You're very charismatic to be a waiter. I think you do a good job, Mouse.
Does Mouse wear shoes?
no. No, she doesn't.
Charisma, she got it. Hygiene, we don't talk about it.
No, no, we
Hey,
don't.
we brushed the hair and pulled the sticks out before the tournament.
That is right.
And didn't you add some back in for effect?
We added flowers.
It happens when you sleep outside. Well, what would you like to do? I've left you in a sort of very free spot right now.
Well, we can always go ask around. Excuse me, I'm trying to decide if I'm going to sneeze or not. I think I'm good right now. We can always go ahead and start asking around about the quarry. And forgive me, Flint, I know you asked, but it has skipped my mind. What did Avindir say they mine at the quarry?
Just stone.
Stone. So is there, an artisans guild or a stone shop, a dealer for marble or fixtures that we could go talk to, see what if they have any additional information, just get some background before we go.
I mean, yeah, someone's had to make those statues, those elemental statues in the city. So we can try to find out who made those.
I almost wonder. He mentioned that they removed a stone and found like a passage. I almost wonder if like the people who work the stone aren't going to know all that much as maybe like some sort of local historian or somebody who might know, if there have been creatures or elementals or something known to live underground around here. I don't know.
That or the workers themselves. If we find
Maybe.
out where they are.
Do we think it would like tick off the mayor for us to be asking around before this letter from Avindir gets to him?
Probably. He probably doesn't want it to be public information that there's a mysterious passageway in a stone quarry nearby.
That could be true. If they're trying to keep this under wraps, we should maybe not say too much.
But that doesn't
Like,
mean that somebody
minor
doesn't.
incident.
That doesn't mean that somebody doesn't know something. There could be legends or stories that people used to tell of something that used to be here and isn't anymore. Asking questions about legends doesn't have anything to step on an actual nowadays quarry.
We could
Oh.
visit the local library if we don't want to talk to people about it. See if they have like local history section.
I was just gonna say, didn't we
The Exalted Tome,
figure out? Okay.
right? It's not really a library, but it's a bookstore.
Keep it on brand with those good books.
Yeah, you've never actually visited it, I don't think, but it is a bookstore.
I did not visit the bookstore, but I think I visited the library here. If I'm not.
Oh wait, yeah, that would have been the Exalted Tome. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, it's sort of like it's a bookstore that you can buy books at, or that you can research in as well.
Browse. Okay. Cool beans. I just haven't. I mean, I've been there, but I haven't really like focused my energy on like local history. Just more of trying to figure out what the gem is. That's all I kind of try to research on.
So we could go to the library and try and research local history and stuff. And then, is there anything else that would make sense as far as trying to investigate Bond?
I mean, we could try the general goods store. I mean, because if there's quarry, I mean, some of the stuff's got to go through there. But again, the downside is then we're alerting the people that we're sniffing around. So
I hate to admit something above board, but the problems that I'm having with Foundry right now will actually leave me pretty unprepared for such a delve. Like I was like checking to see if everything's there, and it's not.
all
Ew.
good.
Ugh. And now my thing is crashing. So I have information that I can give you, but I will just say that I may manufacture a delay.
If we need a break, we can always take one.
But so it sounds like you guys want to go research,
Yeah, go to the library
Get some
or bookstore.
book learning.
get some reading on. All right. You all do that. You make your way towards. Oh man, my map is like off center. Oh no. You all make your way towards the library. And let's just. So there's sort of a nature of the Exalted Tome that you are welcome to do research here, but at the same time, because they rely somewhat on paying customers, there is sort of a finite amount of time that you can spend here before you're sort of expected to buy something. But coming here as a group, you can sort of divvy up who's researching what. And so who would like to start in sort of leading one leg of the research? And when you decide to, let me know what it is kind of more specifically that you're looking at or looking for.
I guess.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please. You go
Okay.
first.
I'll start. If there are like names of the forests or the mountains surrounding this town, kind of like diving into local legends, stories that people told about the surrounding landscape, and if any of them kind of dive deeper, literally into kind of a mountainy underground cave scenario.
Okay. Is this something you're doing yourself, or is anybody helping you with this one?
Would anyone like to help?
I'll help.
Okay.
Great.
If you would mind rolling me a history check with advantage.
History check. Advantage. I get a +1 because of my pin, I think. Or ability checks.
Not your pen, your
My
champions. Yeah, your pin. Yeah.
pin. Yes.
Well, that should automatically calculate it, and so you don't have to worry about that.
Got it. So 16. I didn't know if I needed to tune or something on the work on the sheet.
No, I put that in, and it
Cool.
seems to be working, thankfully. Anyway, well, so you sort of read up on sort of the local relationship with mountains and things of that nature. This is not a very mountainous region of Ventus. If you sort of look on the world map, this side is actually kind of like more of a plains area, pretty flat lands, all things considered. A few hills here and there, but nonetheless, you're looking into what perhaps where people source materials of this nature, and you do sort of find that it was a couple of years ago when more like 10 years ago when the quarry had been identified as having a uh, particularly particular type of granite that would serve well in the making of these religious statues around the city. And they chose to build this town here. This is actually a relatively new town, partially because of that. There were some other locations that were being considered, but this stone was used both for these statues as well as to build the bridge, the great bridge that was connecting to the other islands. And there's not a whole lot of, I would say, significance to give you more than that with a 16, other than to say that the quarry is known for the granite that comes from this quarry is known for being particularly sensitive to magic, and that was why it was sort of chosen.
So, as Clax is helping me, we're probably looking at like 2 different books, and I finish reading my section, and I'll hand it over to him. And I'll be like, it says in a few of these chapters, like these different passages, that what I'm gathering is that this stone is like has magical properties in it. Whether that be the case, they've used it a lot, including the great bridges that connect the different islands, also including this town. They use the stone to kind of build up the town with it. So it's popular, and maybe whatever it is deep down inside of this quarry is magical in nature.
Interesting. So it also makes it valuable.
That is true.
You know, in a town this size, that's it's a lot of money probably tied up in that stone. So it'll be interesting to see what we find out more from Mayor Brightbeard, because if that's the case, it's probably very painful to his wallet to have that tied up every day. And I know he's only the mayor, but I'm sure that it affects town's revenue and everything else. So interesting.
I would agree. Did you find anything, Clax?
That was
Sorry.
that was part of it.
I was just gonna say, sorry, I got to reading that there are some drakes that they had here at one point that were like they get this nest for Dragonborn, and so I just kind of I forgot to read up on the stone. Sorry.
As long as you read something interesting, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like, here, if you look at just kind of.
I'll get distracted for a few minutes.
Is anybody else researching something different at the same time?
I think if they're doing kind of history and legends and whatnot, I would maybe try and just see if there's any, books about the local stone trade and just like info on the workers that are mining it, or guilds that are doing that, or injury reports, or anything just noteworthy, a little more recent and more from like the industrial side of things or something, I guess.
Okay. Is somebody helping you with that?
Can help.
Okay. I'm going to make this a single roll because this is not so much like stories about things. It's more like records, which is not quite what's at the library. Or there's less of it, I would say, at the library. So we'll make this a straight roll since Drada is helping you.
What kind of roll?
I would still say history.
History? Alright. Intelligence. 11.
Okay. I would say one of two topics. There's sort of either the trade, sort of like who's trading in this, or sort of the has anybody gotten injured?
Maybe the who's trading in it side of things.
Okay. The nature of what you're able to find in a library like this, it is sort of in a kind of I'm kind of imagining that through asking somebody who works there, like, you know, to kind of guide you, that the most that you can sort of get to is somebody's autobiography, a trader of some kind, who is talking about the potential of the stone here. This individual is somebody who seems to work in a person by the name of Mist, who seems to work both kind of doing a circuit from Flamebridge to Mistral to Horizon, and has been sort of peddling samples of stone as a means of trying to market the potential of building Horizon here. Apparently is one of the people who had sort of first discovered the magical properties of the stone, which you sort of compare notes with Aesopp later. One of the first people who had discovered the magical nature of the stone and was sort of looking for local traders in Mistral being a trade city, as well as Flamebridge being a more industrial place to start sourcing their stone from here. The autobiography kind of goes into enough detail for you to know that enough of it has probably passed through Mistral in small bits for kind of like people who are making more small stone items, and that a large order had been placed in Flamebridge from a mysterious bidder.
All right. I would share that with the group.
Are there... How many people are here?
In the library?
Yeah.
At this time of day on what is functionally a weekday, probably just a handful besides you. The party probably makes up half of the customers.
So first, Mouse would look around to see if she can find like a grandmother researching genealogy. And if that seems unsuccessful, she will just kind of walk around and try and spy what topics everybody else is reading about. Mostly to see if anybody else is looking into the same things we are.
So sorry, I was sort of taking notes and listening at the same time. So are you actually you're looking into genealogy, or are you just looking like you're a person?
No, I was saying if there is a older person who looks eager to tell stories about their youth in the area, I would talk to that person. But if there are only 4 other people here, there's a good chance one of those isn't. I'm just going to see if anybody's looking at the same things we are.
Fair enough. It seems that the people here are not spending nearly as much time as you guys are. A lot of them are browsing bookshelves of various sort of like poetry and this and that. It seems like people who probably came here for the Tournament of Tales and are stopping by the bookstore as like a souvenir shop sort of situation. So there's not a whole lot of research happening right now, actively, and I won't even make you sort of roll for that, as in the sense of, is anybody else researching the stones, because you find it's very clear the way that the Exalted Tome is broke up, that nobody is really in the same section that your party's in.
Cool.
I will take my Horizon Local Legends book, and take it up to the front to pay. Supporting small businesses, of course, is important, especially bookstores.
Yeah, we'll just say that costs a gold.
Ugh. Support small businesses. Here's your golds.
Some people say in D&D that each piece of paper is a gold, so according to the Player's Handbook. Also, you're rich. You're fine.
It's like, here, I got it. Throw your
No,
gold.
no, Mouse. It's okay. I got it. We're good. I had to slowly repay back you guys for helping me out so much for the tournament.
The platinum ones are worth more, right?
Yes.
Careful though, they kind of look like the silver ones. But...
They just have like a different shine to it.
If you look really close, like there's like a little detailing around the edge that you don't see on the silver. Like we have to like look really close.
Ross, do you realize how much money you have right now?
I think we've been over this. Money only has value based on what you can exchange it for.
Exactly.
So no.
You could buy like thousands of Danishes from Brett.
Why?
I'm just trying to give you the sense of your buying power, like how much you can. Fair enough.
Because this came up, I actually do have denominations for the coins, if you're curious, because they are minted, and on the platinum pieces there is sometimes I'm not enough of a nerd to introduce sort of colloquial language into the game, but I imagine that people refer to platinum as clouds because they have a cloud on them, kind of cloud symbol on them. That gold are crowns for the same reason. Silver are bolts because they have like a lightning bolt through them, and then copper is just like there's no symbol on them at all. They're just sort of pieces of copper.
To be clear, Mouse only refers to them by the pictures.
This one has a cloud on it. How much is it worth?
Sorry.
What are the silver ones?
Bolts.
I will
What were the
also
gold?
now only be referring to money as these names now.
What were the gold ones?
Crowns.
Crowns. Okay. Clouds, crowns, bolts, and
Wah.
pennies.
You have spent several hours on this research, just because these things take time. What else would you like to do in your time in Ventus? And if you want to sort of fast forward to things, including and up to the party, you're welcome to do that as well. Sort of like there's an amount of time that is free to you if there are things that you want to have your character do.
And this can be an offline discussion if need be. But how do you handle if I wanted to craft like a non-magical item, like in terms of time that it would take or something?
I think that was sort of accounted in the document I sent you some time ago.
Oh, did you?
So,
Okay.
Yeah, let
I
me
can-
take a look at it. But you would should you find a forge, and I'm sure Avindir could point you in the right direction, you would be able to spend time on things like that.
Okay. Interested in ending up with a breastplate, but I don't want to spend every piece of gold that I have on one.
You mean crowns?
Well, all my money's in clouds right now. But it would be all of my clouds. If I would, well, assuming it is player handbook prices, I guess I should maybe at some point just like price one out at a local armory just to make sure that's true. But I'm just sort of assuming.
I mean, I have more clouds, and we all got new armor.
Yeah, but mine would be like 40 clouds, I think. And I could make it myself, I think, for cheaper probably. But it would
Might
take me a while.
Time. Yeah.
Yeah, roughly.
I mean, we could all pitch in if you need it
It's
sooner rather than later, especially if we're going into that quarry. You might need it sooner.
so it'd just be more comfortable for me. It won't actually make me feel any more protected, I don't think. So it's not an urgent thing. More just I'd make less noise when I walk around. But, yeah. I may
Just ballparking it, I'd have to read exactly what I wrote down. You would probably expect to spend 250 on it.
250 for the materials
and the forge time. And it would take around a week.
Oh, okay. I may look into that more. I couldn't remember the exact math for crafting things, and I was thinking for some reason it was going to take much longer. But okay.
Yeah, magic is sort of any non-magical crafting takes less time.
Okay. Perhaps after the party, while we're still waiting to go with Avindir or something like that, I'll look into it.
I would like to go to is there a toy shop or is it Evens and Starts where we got the bobblehead from last episode?
That was the Mellow Gnome.
Mellow Gnome. Okay, I was
Which
off
you guys
on
haven't
both.
visited yet, but you generally know where it is, I believe.
Yeah, by the fire statue. I would like to make my way there just to grab another bobblehead since Story gave me his.
So we can sort of go around and talk about what you're going to do. I will say, because my preparations for the quarry do not seem to have saved, which I can't do anything about that. So I'm going to sort of spoil for you that just sort of manufacture that part into the next session, is that Bali, you'll get word from Bali during this period of time that he's giving the party who's in there a few more days to sort of to find their way out. That they had sort of a reporting window at which point they were supposed to come to Bali, and if they do not return, that he is willing to allow you to go in and investigate. With that being said, you have sort of a few days to yourself, and we can do sort of the Mellow Gnome if you want to go there, among other things, but sort of the period of time that is that we're talking about is sort of the time leading up to the party, which Avindir also tells you is going to happen 3 days from now, or 2.5 days from now, basically. So if there's anything you want to do during that sort of rest time, hoping that you don't insist on barging into the quarry all by yourself, because I just can't support that right now. But but you do have several days of downtime to sort of to make your way around Horizon, or just to wait for the party.
I think I would, if I know we're going to have a few days, I would probably go ahead and work on getting those materials and getting started on crafting that breastplate. So I probably am not with the party for things like the melanome. If they're doing anything like really noteworthy and important, I might like take a break and go with them. But just for things like that, I probably would work through it, I think.
Sure.
I think I would spend a fair amount of time, honestly, just like meandering through town and trying to see if I can like not randomly bump into, but randomly see from the far the lady in red. And try to track and see where she's staying, if she's still in town. But yeah, just kind of like walking the streets, seeing who I see. Probably like intentionally trying to go around, maybe like place myself around maybe some of the wealthier parts of town or some of the nicer inns and yada yada.
Okay. What about? I'm writing all these down, and then we'll sort of resolve them. What about other folks?
Mouse is happy to take shopping trips with anyone who would like to take them, although she probably won't buy anything. But any like free time where everybody runs off on their own, she's going to wander in either parks she finds or maybe even these fields and farms, and starting to looking ahead, look and think about what it would be like to be able to fly, and maybe start watching birds and different creatures just to see if she thinks she can figure it out in the future.
I believe in you.
I believe in 2 more levels.
Yeah.
If you would like to join Mouse, the only thing that I would like to do is go to the Melanome and see if they still have a Bruce bobblehead, to return the favor and get back to Jory whenever I see him again. And then other than that, I think if everyone's off doing their own thing, which kind of sounds like they are as of right now, spend time kind of alone in the rooms that we have and just kind of like journal, like focus on myself, like my mental health. How am I doing? Just after something so crazy.
And Clax, I expect that you're doing some katas and exercising a lot, but what are you up to?
So yes, I would figure mid-morning runs across most of the town, including areas that I would probably report back to Drata later. That might be good spots for him to investigate on his travels, where he's a little more discreet. And then just exercise, hit up bread every morning, of course. Enjoy that type of stuff, but really just trying to get back into shape. We haven't done a lot of activity for the last week or so. It's all been simulated activity, right? So just want to try and get back in shape. But like I said, it's also more of scouting out, and then probably in early evening when people seem to be going to and from dinner. Because in the morning I picture it's more like just tunic and pants running, kind of doing cardio, and then in the evening fully geared up and just taking a leisurely stroll, but again through parts of town where people tend to congregate and stuff like that, and just keeping an eye on the people. And like I said, try and get with Drata at least once a day to let them know what I've seen or haven't seen and stuff along those lines.
Okay. Let's start with Drata then, because depending on what you maybe see, it may influence how you spend the rest of your days. So I consider what Clax is doing to sort of be essentially helping Drata with an investigation check. So Drata, if you would like to go ahead and roll me 2 investigation checks as if this is happening over two separate nights with advantage on each one.
And one more.
There you go.
Not expecting, but here we are.
So the first night, this is sort of, I choose to sort of believe that this is the morning. Excuse me. This is the night after you've sort of met with Avindir and all this stuff, and so you didn't really get the same assistance from Klax, who had been able to pick a few routes for you as effectively that day, and so you're kind of just trying to hit up some spots that you hadn't seen before, and you don't see the Mr. Sunred at all, and you don't see any, I would say, other VIPs of interest as well on that first night. It's the second night as Klax sort of recalls sort of a few nights ago when there was the dinner party, there was the notion that that a number of the guests were likely staying in the mayor's office, and that they would probably not be leaving because after a night of drinking at the dinner party, they would just head up to their rooms. And it's sort of through using that knowledge and sort of gauging what you've seen over the last few days, a lot of the servant type folks that you've seen carrying stuff for some of the VIPs, nobody in particular, but sort of like for Lord Darkdraft, or for Ellen Trugust, or for I think there was a few others. For the Ferelia family, you find that those individuals are making themselves more apparent in this last day. And as you sort of follow them or follow the servants around, feel free to interrupt me if there's anything more you want to do with this, but you sort of discover in the dead of night that a lot of them are packing. It seems that perhaps after the party, people are preparing to leave town.
Interesting. I report that back to Klax and Folk. Yeah, it looks like this is it. It looks like they're heading out soon.
You think it's going to be before or after the party?
I would think after.
Okay. So we still have a little bit of time. Did any other signs of our mistress or our lady friend that we're trying to look for? I'm pretty sure she's out of the city, but
I mean, not particularly, but I saw Ellen.
okay.
I saw some folks. I think she's here. She's staying at the mayor's office.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll catch a break at the party. Maybe somebody will say something or see something.
Maybe. I mean, I'd also say, like, if that means then there's still a chance that she or someone she's associated with will be at this party. So you might want to prep yourself a little bit, friend.
Well, and I want to thank you for all your help on this. I really do appreciate it. You didn't have to help.
Listen, I walked around and watched people awkwardly from the shadows. It was a great time. I can't complain.
Right up your alley.
Yeah, on brand. And it's all about the brand.
But again, thank you nonetheless.
Absolutely.
Am I just reading that conversation? Is it fair to say that you aren't going to continue the investigation beyond this, at the very least, until after the party? This is sort of the night before the party is when you're having this conversation.
So the problem I have is and maybe I'll just voice this to Drada, is, I'm really torn. I really want to kind of try and drive something and do something more, but we're an employee, like clearly an employee of Avindir now, and we're pretty much in his turf, his backyard. So this is just purely a recon mission at this moment. Try and get the information and see what we can use with it later. So the fact that Ellen's still here gives us a chance, and we know that some of our less than favorite people are all working together on something. Gives us a piece of information whether they know it or not. So I think we just kind of keep an eye out, and when we get to the party, if you don't mind, we'll just keep an eye on Brightbeard, his admin Teresa, Lord Puddles, Destin, the Ferelia family, and Mayor Truegas, and any of Puddles' retinue, just in case anything comes up. And just try and keep eyes on them. See if any of them say anything, hear anything. Maybe just lurk a little bit closer to get some information while we're out, but I don't want to cause any overt issues. So
I will follow your. I mean, like, again, happy we have this contract. We love income. It's great. Yay. But also, like, am I still willing to fuck around and find out? Absolutely, I am. So if your mind changes, let me know. But otherwise, yeah, happy to stick to that. Also, just clarifying question: the party is the location of said party. It's back at Avindir's.
No, it was identified to be in the Horizon Park.
The Horizon Park. Okay, great. Another proposal: if all the fancy people are going to be in the park one evening, that makes me think that the mayor's office may not be particularly well staffed. If you would want me to just, I don't know, pop over during the party, I'd be happy to, but I leave that up to you.
I will, just for the sake of your awareness, the party is an early evening party. So it will not be Drada levels of darkness.
That's fine.
Unless the party goes quite late. Just so you know.
think with us probably about to get into a deal with, well, if the adventurers who went to this quarry do not return shortly, we might be entering into a deal with Mayor Brightbeard anyway. So I would prefer not to jeopardize that, but if the opportunity presents itself, stay flexible, is what I'm saying.
Happy to.
So now, translating that to you, DM. Holding pattern right now.
Okay. I was just making sure that I don't fast forward too far into the future. Very well. And so, a few other things going on. Aesopp and Mouse, you head over to the Mellow Gnome. This is sort of, I imagine, sort of early evening on the first day. Before you sort of get into your own activities, you sort of head over there first. You find a kind of like a little bit quiet tinkerer type that is sort of slowly whittling at a piece of wood behind a desk and just sort of like looks up at you as you enter. And in this space, it is sort of like I think I've described this as being like a knick-knack and souvenir store, and you sort of look around. It's a pretty small shop, but there's just a ton of like everything small wood and stone, like little dolls, little like rocking horses, little a few things that like seem to have very minor mechanical components, not so much metal, but more like there's a bird that like you pull a string and it flaps its wings. A lot of like small stuff like that. Kind of like the sky's the limit on things that you might find if you go diving into one bin or the other. But there's just this small gnomish man who is sort of, you only really see him over the counter because he's sitting on a tall stool whittling away, and he sort of looks at you and just sort of says, Hi, you can let me know if you need anything. He's just sort
Hello.
of carving away.
What are you making?
Just something. I don't know yet.
Do you have like an idea of what you're making? Like something that you want to produce?
He sort of like pauses, and there's sort of like a shy, meek look on his face, and he's just sort of, why do you want to know?
Curiosity?
Your shop is excellent.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Emmett.
And Mouse.
Nice to
Hi.
meet you.
He sort of waves as you reach out your hand.
Oh, I'm like, okay. Well, I have a question for you today. I'll pull out the bobblehead. I'm like, do you have another set of this bobblehead? Turns out he's a friend, and I need one more.
No, somebody. Huh. He has the look on his face of like, oh, I just sold that the other day. But he sort of shakes it off and says, no, that was the only one. Somebody dropped it off a few weeks ago. I didn't make that one. Sorry. I could try to make something similar.
Did it look? Did the person that dropped it off look like this person?
A little bit.
Without the makeup?
He thinks about it. Let me roll a dice for him.
You got this.
He says, I can't say that for sure. Definitely another halfling, like your friend, pointing at Mouse.
Turns out I went to college with this guy, and was really good friends with him. So I was just curious if he ever stopped by here, or why he has bobbleheads now. Also, kind of boggles my mind. But thank you for your help.
Well, if you find out who made it, let me know. I've never seen anything like it. And it kind of, I feel like last game I told you that there was a bobblehead. I should say, like, bobbleheads don't really exist. There's not.
Sure.
So it's like probably the first time you've seen something like a bobblehead.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems that this gnome Emmett is like fascinated by that.
Like the head kind of like jiggles a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you figure out how they did it, let me know.
I absolutely will.
Do you need anything made?
Not for me, Mouse. Do you have anything in mind?
You're muted.
That's fine. I wasn't saying anything of import anyway. I can't think of anything I need, but there are a lot of wonderful things here.
Make a persuasion check, Mouse.
Yes.
Just sort of like a friendliness check.
Oh.
Okay. I mean, it was a
Come
low
on, friendliness.
It was a low DC. You see that he sort of says, he sort of looks at you and says, I can make you a mouse.
So sweet. Do you have any badgers?
I could. Yeah. And you see he grabs, there's like he's been whittling away on this little like tiny piece of wood, but he puts that down and pulls out another piece of wood. And you see he sort of like holds it up to his mouth and sort of starts whispering into it. And when he pulls away, it is shaped itself into a wooden badger, sort of small in
What?
shape, not full-size badger.
How did you do that?
I mean, magic?
But where
Is it-
did you learn?
I was gonna ask the same thing.
Does it look like my magic?
No. Go ahead and make an Arcana check, I suppose.
Both of us, or just Mouse?
Yeah, both. Yeah, you're there too.
One of us is hopefully better at Arcana. Oh, I reroll once.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mouse, it didn't look like your magic. It sort of flashed. There's like an orange flash, and that's sort of all you saw, and that doesn't resonate necessarily with anything that you've done before. Aesopp, you get the impression that this is sort of arcane transmutation magic, and for somebody to be able to do this means that they are relatively skilled, especially if they're just sort of like throwing it away on a random customer. It's not of exquisite detail, but it is a real thing that has been made.
I will walk up to the counter if we're not there already, and I'll put down 2 gold coins and be like, that was very impressive.
He sort of looks at you and then looks at the gold and then looks at Mouse and says, "Oh, thanks. Do you want something?"
I'm good. But this badger is really cute.
Oh, did you buy it for me?
No, it was more like a tip.
Oh,
I
okay. How much
thought-
for the badger?
No, it's yours. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks. This is really cool. I want to learn how to do this.
I know, it's like he melted or
Made
molded the wood, you know?
It's very impressive.
You could sleep with your new badger buddy at night now as like a little sleeping buddy, little stuffed animal. Not really stuffed, but wooden animal.
Oh, sorry, I misspoke. It would have been a green glow, not a orange glow. Sorry. Continue. My little lore document of colors.
I wonder if I can make it a pouch in my hair.
That'd be so cute.
Tries to rearrange some of the sticks and knots to make a place where she can set her badger.
And I'll hold hair, just specific hair to help form the little net thing she's trying to make.
You do so successfully, and as you leave the mellow gnome, Emmett gives you just a sort of friendly wave, and you continue with the rest of your downtime.
You have a name, Mouse? Do you think you'll name it?
The badger?
Mhm.
Oh. Maybe. I'll think on it.
Okay.
And let's go ahead and take a break, and then we will wrap up the rest of the downtime activities and get into the party.
Woo!
Woo! All right, see you guys in a bit.
Sound good.
Bye, y'all.
All right. Well, after some adventuring and shopping, we have a few other downtime activities to get through before the day of the party. That includes Flint working on your breastplate. You end up connecting with Avindir, who puts you in touch with the local blacksmith, and you're able to secure. You're able to rent space at the forge during the time that that you're able to spend on this during the party. You would get 2 days of progress done.
Okay.
So if you just want to mark that down, and they also sold you the necessary iron and whatnot as part of the purchase. It's going to what I kind of imagine would be the best way to do this is for me to charge you once, and rather than charging you per day. So even though you haven't finished it yet, you have the materials and forge time purchased for 275 gold. I redid the math a little bit.
Okay. I will subtract that from my funds.
Cool. And
if
if you happen to not finish in time, like I imagine materials just thrown in your bag of holding. If you manage to not finish in time and you have leftover forge time, we'll just carry that over to wherever you go next.
Makes sense. I did go back and find the stuff that you had sent me about crafting before. Just to make sure I'm reading this right. If I wanted to eventually craft something bigger, like a suit of plate mail, it's still just a week because it's a common item?
Correct.
Okay. Granted,
Yeah.
more material costs.
More material costs, and I tried to not. It's just sort of the means of keeping it uncomplicated. Yes, it would probably take longer. It would definitely take longer, but I didn't want to have a complicated system for it.
That's fair.
Cool. So you get 2 days of that in, and that is for the 1 work week that you have to put into it, which I am imagining to be 7 days, to be clear, not 5 days. And you make that progress. Aesopp, is there anything in particular that you're journaling about during your sort of nights in?
My time with Dory, how that relationship is how it's manifesting now and what I want for the future. The whole time here on Horizon was just quite a journey for me and my growth. Kind of focusing on my alone time because I haven't had a lot of it while I've been here. It's always just kind of been like a go, state mentality that we've been in since we've arrived. So it's just kind of like taking the time to just cool down, relax, since we have left for a few days.
Cool. And then Mouse, you're bird watching. Go ahead and roll me a perception check. Okay.
Hey.
Similar to as I've done before, you had unlocked I think a raven is what we had discussed. If you would like to, at some point, if there is another type of bird that you want to have seen with that roll, feel free to let me know in the future.
So how common are giant eagles around these parts?
With a 26, if that's what you want.
I'll take it.
Okay. Mouse unlocks the giant eagle form, and as Mouse spots this huge bird, what is your reaction?
terror, because it probably looks like it could eat me. And then just like awesome curiosity, like that a creature that large can stay in the air is just, it's the same level of like reverence she has for like the starboat as a engineering miracle she doesn't quite understand. But she's very excited.
Cool. I'm debating, could it eat you? Probably not, but it could screw you up.
Does Mouse consider that it could eat her? Probably.
I mean, if Mouse was a commoner, I think it could.
Does it? It may enter Mouse's thoughts at some point that maybe somebody could even ride on you at some point. That will be useful at some point in the future when you level up a few more times.
Playing the long game over here.
Yeah. And I think that was sort of the list of things that people had given to me, unless anybody has any final additions.
No, I'm good on my end.
Okay. It is the morning of the party. Avindir has sort of clued you in to the details. By this point, you've checked in with him a little bit here and there. He's told you about the Bali situation. He's told you about the party. You understand that in the early evening, before the sun sets, that there's a part of land that has been reserved sort of south of the Unity statue in the middle. That they are sort of setting up a few tents. There's going to be a few people who are catering from some of the local restaurants. They did bring bread in, knowing that you guys are fans, and apparently they're going to bring something special and new in celebration of Aesopp. They have invited the locals, per Aesopp's wish, to join if they would like, as well as any of the guests who had attended the Tournament of Tales who may still be in town. And as far as you know, there is no real agenda. It is sort of a meet and mingle affair. But there is an expectation that a guest from the capital will be arriving to deliver the heroic quest that was promised to Aesopp as the last reward of having won the tournament. And so it is the morning. You have time to kill if there's anything you want to do to prepare for that. If there's anything you want to gather and bring, if there's anything you want to do, now is the time.
I'll go to Drada's room this morning. Half expecting Drada not to be up at all, but for me to wake Drada up.
You are fully correct in that assumption, and you are greeted by a makeup smeared groggy Drada.
Do you want to get ready for the party together? I think that would be really fun.
Yeah. Yep. Give me 5. Give me 5.
Alrighty. I'll wait for you to come to my door. How about that?
Great. The door like slowly slams shut, and then you hear Drada go back to bed, and then get up back out of bed, almost deciding to go back asleep, but then not.
But as you close the door, it's just a smile on my face. Just good night.
Like 15 minutes. Not the 5 promised, like 15. And yeah, Drada comes with makeup and things, with the nail polish as we must. Ready to get ready.
And you do. Is anybody else doing anything in particular?
Normal morning routine. I'm going back and giving Gift of Alacrity to Drada.
Oh, good morning, Mouse.
Good morning.
How'd you sleep?
Ooh, I got the other one today.
Well,
I slept great.
Great.
Got the other one?
Wheel and whatever, wheel and woe.
Yeah, some days when I first wake up, I can see the remnants of the stars in the sky, and I can kind of get a just feel for how some things are going to go during the day. And usually I'm able to help things go a little better. But today I think I'm able to help things go a little worse.
Drada smiles.
Hmm. I'm like sweating a little bit. I'm like, uh-huh. What?
Not for us.
Okay. Look at Drada and Drada smiling. I'm like, okay. No explanation to.
Yeah, I have an ability where I can kind of consult with the stars, and then 3 times throughout the day I can roll a d6, and either add or subtract it from a roll that I see somebody else being about to make. I've done it a few times. I did it with Heart Crusher's death saves and the scene where we weren't really there.
Right.
But I've always been able to help people with their rolls. I've never been able to hurt people with their rolls.
Oh, love that.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah, if one were like really surprised at like how cool of a power that is, they could be like, "Whoa!" like
Yeah.
Okay, back to makeup. Okay.
Andrada's fired. Avindir does not like puns. Anything else?
I think Flint would spend some time like actually making himself presentable. I imagine after 2 days in a blacksmith shop, 8 hours a day, he's probably pretty filthy and would get cleaned up.
Does anybody have prestidigitation, which is like just instant shower? I don't think so. No.
Not on my list. I just get Druidcraft.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys, we don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to like go to the spa or anything like that. You tidy up. There's a wash basin somewhere. Splash water on your face.
I'm not actually clear if Artificer is one of those ones that can switch out their cantrips every day or just when I level.
No, that's wizards. I think it's when you level you might be able to. But
I know I can
that's not right now.
Yeah. Anyways.
You do find that as you are preparing to leave in the morning, the keeper of the canopy does sort of remind you that today's checkout, you've only actually paid up till today when you first stopped in. You could extend your stay if you would like.
I mean, we're staying at least probably 2 more days once we look at the quarry, right?
Well, and if we're waiting until Avindir's leaving, we're staying another 2 full weeks. Unless we're trying to, like, go somewhere out of town for a little while and then come back before then. How much was the room? If we wanted it for like a week? Or rooms?
Remind me, did you all just have each of you have your own room, or were you bunking together?
I also don't recall.
I think we did 3 rooms, but I
Okay.
don't remember for sure.
It would have come out to 1 gold per room per night.
Okay.
And so that just using now, I will say that was during the event season. Rates get hiked up a little bit, even in fantasy world, and so that does go down to half price. So it's 5 silver per room per night at the moment. Pretty modest. I mean, you guys are pretty rich.
Should we pay for 3 more days and make sure that we're staying 2 full more weeks, or should we just pay up now?
Or not pay up at all because we might be traveling depending on what we find out. Like, I know we have money, but just because we have money doesn't mean we need to spend it.
We can always sleep in the park if we end up here an extra day.
I think we should at least get rooms for another night or 2 while we're investigating the quarry. I don't know that it makes sense to get them for 2 full weeks if we aren't certain if we're going to stay in town.
I'm used to traveling light. I got all my stuff packed up, so does anybody need to store stuff in a room? Because if not, it's not the peak season. I'm sure we can get a room if we come back. Or even if you want, maybe we can put a 5 silver or 5 bolt deposit. Just to, hey, hold some rooms back for us type situation in case we show up, and if we're not here by 10 p.m. or a couple hours after the sun goes down, they're yours to give up. Just trying to save a couple shekels or bolts.
That's fair. You're right. It's not season. There'll probably be rooms available by when we come back tonight if we're still staying here. And if not, we'll sleep in the park with Mouse.
Easy peasy.
Alrighty. So you have all of your stuff with you then. There's no sort of pretending that you might leave some comforts back at the inn. So you have all of your bags with you and trek off to probably, I'm imagining, wandering around a little bit and chatting with each other as the day advances. Is there any sort of like last calls or anything you'd like to do before the party begins? Or would you like to arrive early, or how do you imagine this?
What kind of guild do you guys want to open? Or start?
Your different types?
I mean, we can make a guild that does anything.
Okay,
Have an
what
adventurers guild?
Thieves Guild. We go back to the town that we were just in. We steal something. We gaslight an entire town of racist fucks, thinking that they've got a long-term systemic problem.
I mean, we could start a thieves guild, I guess. I'm guessing that's not what Avindir had in mind. And I think his contract mentions specifically like registering your guild with what was it?
Like an association,
Guild,
wasn't it?
Ventus Guild Federation. I'm betting thieves guilds don't do that. But I mean, could. I don't think we'll get the funding for it though. Get Mouse's airship and start like a delivery service.
Is that not weird? Because Avindir also ships things. No, we're just a brand. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
We
We're
could also
continuing
be
the-
like a people delivery service, help people get home.
Kind of sweet.
Mail is really expensive, isn't it? Like, we should just be a mail service. Didn't somebody try and send a letter for like 10 gold or something?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot.
We could take a lot of letters in an airship.
Isn't
I love how
that what
niche
they
that
are?
is.
It's also probably like spoken for territory if you're going to try to break into the mail market.
I mean, I think we would do great.
I'm sure. I just love the concept of like, oh, this is our campaign now. We deliver mail.
I mean, it's a side business to make money off of our airship. We'd hire 5 people to run the business. We just passive income.
Yeah.
Also,
mean,
I'm
I
sure
would-
there's a lot of adventuring to be done on a mail ship.
True. I mean, I would appreciate a guild for the arts, you know, supporting the arts, local artists, musicians.
Kind of like what Mouse said earlier of like mailing people. I think there's a better word for it, but helping people get where they need to go is important.
Big world.
We talking
We
like
could-
like a bus driver service or like refugees?
Oh, I was thinking
or
more refugees, but we did get a blimp or an airship, and it was called the bus. That would bring me joy. Again,
Oh,
buses exist in this world. Yes.
well, I figured we could get my airship, although it's not very big. We couldn't carry very many letters or very many people, but maybe we get a bus instead, and we call it Lyft, because we take people where they need to go.
And it lifts off.
Mhm.
Love the idea.
Spelled
Okay.
with a Y just for fun.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
is the
let's
fun
go
shit.
there.
Because that's fantasy spelling.
yeah, how else would you spell it?
Follow-up question: how fast is your skyboat, Mouse? Because I'm not saying that we should found a airship racing league, but I would say that'd be rad as hell.
Well, Fern may be the one to ask that. Our airship had some limitations. It didn't go very fast or at all during the day, so that would have to be a like late night activity.
Oh, so it's like a party bus.
Party bus drag racing.
I don't see anything
what we
wrong
want.
with this idea. Nothing.
Then eventually we get a skyboat so big that we can fit all of our other business propositions on it. So it's a drag race refugee mail carrier.
Service.
Perfect.
and a
Singing
thief guild.
telegrams.
That's all just a front for the Thieves Guild.
Mm-hmm.
An elaborate plan. Nothing could go wrong.
I want to allow somebody who you tell me if you fit this criteria. Somebody who thinks that they may know something about guilds, like existing guilds, through your backstory.
No.
Oh, I was pointing to one person. I could.
Even if
I
like
could-
you've dealt with guilds, you don't have to necessarily have been part of one.
Say as a town guardsman, maybe knowing in the town or in consonants, like
Yeah, I would say like
guild.
yeah, your patrol may have gone through, or you may have had requests to look into things on behalf of the guild.
Baker's
Imagine
Guild
the-
upset against the. Just trying to think of something witty and lost it there. You guys got it though.
I
I
don't
imagine
think.
the
I don't think I would have had a lot of experience with guilds, just with my like group of people.
I imagine the workshop that Flint like worked in Flamebridge was probably part of some sort of crafters guild. But I don't know. That's a you
Okay.
tell me thing.
I'll I'll let you. I'll let both Flint and Clax roll either. Yeah, no, probably just history checks, sort of within the narrow reach of what you could know. All right. Well. Well, you accidentally rolled insight, but I'm keeping your roll anyway.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
I swear I. Interesting.
Just blame the character sheets.
I'm going to.
They're right next to each other.
Well, Clax, I got nothing for you. Flint, I did have an arbitrary kind of DC set for 20. For you in particular, is that it occurs to you. Well, so the crafting people you're working for, that was more local blacksmith. I tend to believe in Flamebridge, it wouldn't have actually been part of a guild federation.
Okay.
It may have been like they had partnerships with within Flamebridge to provide materials that were ordered and whatnot, but it wasn't part of like the guild federation tends to be guilds with a more like worldly prominence and not strictly local.
Okay.
But being as that you rolled a 20 above a 20, it occurs to Flint that when I believe it was the Unifiers told you that the Jade Mask was sort of allowed to do what they're doing through the government, they could be an official guild. They could be a sanctioned guild, thieves guild.
Interesting. Okay.
You'd have to like confirm that in some way, but it just sort of clicks in your head about like, oh, actually, maybe.
Partly because I've been thinking about it in reference to this party, and partly because you brought up the Jade Mask. Based on my limited dealings with them, I know you had mentioned, I think in my backstory, you didn't want to just full give me like thieves can't, but that I might know some lingo or something. Did they have any sort of like incognito way of like recognizing one another, or like some sort of like key phrase or something that you were trying to suss out if someone was a member or something like that I would know?
The Jade Mask was a very public presence. They didn't wear the masks always like the one in Mistral did, but anytime you dealt with one, they were kind of like decked out in greens, and it was quite obvious. So in that way, I would say no. But with your like sort of, I would say, in those limited dealings, you probably remind me. So you do have thieves' cant on your character sheet, like it's, or did I give it to you?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I might have to look into what I told you, but you would know that the nature of thieves' cant is sort of, it's about being very suggestive. There's sort of a physical language to it in how you demonstrate that you're trying to communicate something that your mouth isn't saying.
Okay.
Sort of like if you're just giving you an example so that you can keep an eye out for this as a player. It's sort of like if you're having a conversation with somebody who isn't trying to be too descriptive on details, they might be like serving you tea and they'll like rotate their spoon to the left or to the right to sort of get you to look in a direction, or if you're sort of posing questions that are sort of based on an amount of something, you might get like several spoonfuls of sugar in your tea to indicate that amount. It's very it's a very hidden language, but it's generally designed to be either to pass on small bits of information or to confirm that if you know the language, then they'll invite you behind closed doors to speak more freely.
Okay.
So you guys posit a few ideas about guilds, whether that's going to be your mail service or a art guild or adventurers guild, whatever it's going to be. But the day continues and you eventually arrive at a little bit of a party. The map that I had planned does not exist, so I'm instead sending you to this map that was in Mistral. So forgive the name of the map because it is the market that that you had been in before. And I don't think your tokens exist here, so give me a second. But you arrive and find that food has been sort of arranged in a variety of these sort of stalls in and around this clearing. And who am I missing? Mouse. Across the party, there are a number of familiar people. Of course, you have Avindir. Heart Crusher is here, still hasn't left the city. Ellen Trugust is out and about. Atiel and her assistant seem to still be here. Let me drag her in. The Forelias are here. Just sort of listing their names as I drag them. Where do they go? Oh, there they are. Okay. And Bali is also here. I'm going to start dragging people here in general, but just to sort of describe the setting is that there's food, there's drinks. There seems to be a number of sort of general folks here, some that you might recognize as being in the audience. Aesopp, the one fan that you had sort of met at Bread, that you had introduced yourself and they had been in the stands. There's sort of like a moment where you all walk in and Avindir says, there's the champion, welcome, Aesopp, welcome, Left Stars, and there's sort of like light applause from everybody, and then you hear the sound of the whistle, the two-finger whistle from your number one fan, whatever his name may be. Who you met in
so
Night
let's say I
Bread.
do not remember the name. I'll be like, oh, you
Aesopp, yeah. You also see, it seems that there is a guard presence here. You have not seen very many of these. And in fact, I think the only person who might have seen one would have been probably would have been Mouse, because there was a couple in the dining hall who had been sort of flanking Puddles during the VIP party a few nights before. But you see these individuals with sort of wearing spears and sort of simple scale mail and purple cloaks that sort of represent the colors that you've seen Bali Brightbeard wear, and the colors that you saw. There had been a portrait that Mouse saw of a dragonborn guard who was wearing sort of a purple cloak in one of the offices there. So there's a few guards at the perimeter. They seem relatively relaxed at first glance. It's just sort of keeping an eye on things, but they are indeed here. As Avindir sort of receives you all and says, as sort of the crowd dies down a little bit. There's more tokens here than I'm bothering to put down. But as the crowd dies down a little bit, Avindir just sort of like shuffles into your group and says, didn't have... I tried to just sort of focus on the catering and figured that that we'll just see where the night takes us. I didn't really have any activities in mind.
Well, it's a lovely event so far. I'm assuming the guards are for the individual from Consonance coming. Guard presence for that, or for someone else? Something else?
It's generally just when there's large crowds, they make themselves known at the perimeters of things. But yes, that's correct. They're it's a pretty relaxed town, but we do like to make sure that when people from the capital are coming, that we seem a little bit more prepared.
No, it is.
Well, please let me get you a drink. And he sort of invites anybody to join him that would like to, not strictly Aesopp. It looks like Flint might be wandering around.
Sorry, there's like a pillar or something in the middle that was blocking view, and I was just kind of moving around to see.
Yeah, that's just a big tree.
Fair enough.
That was the tree that when I previously had this map, that was the tree that Zazasius's tent was on.
Oh, okay.
But he goes with you to get a few drinks. There seems to be one of the carts to the side is a cart that has sort of Avindir's name branded on the side of it, and seems that he's providing the drinks, of course, at an event like this. All pretty standard stuff, but he does have his... he doesn't have the good stuff for something like this, but he does have a variety of like summer ales and things that are about to be out of season, as well as some early samplings of like fall ales and whatnot. But if there's anything you'd like to particularly be doing, knowing the guests, please do let me know.
I would like to ask Avindir if he knows who's coming from the capital.
I believe that the message is being delivered by one of the unifiers. I do not know who.
Avindir, do you, like, in your sort of position, have any knowledge of what sort of disasters is maybe the wrong word, but like things that would engage Aesopp's parents and their organization? I don't know if they had an official name.
I'm blanking on that too. All my notes.
It's the recovery squad.
Yes. Yes, thank you.
Avindir sort of looks towards Aesopp, and Aesopp, make an insight check.
Because he didn't know. It's interesting. First time we're talking about it.
With a 16, the read that you're getting is like he doesn't know. It's sort of the nature of like, is it okay to gossip about you? Like he isn't.
Secret about it or anything.
Well, yeah, there's a nature of like of him just not sure if he's supposed to answer or not. But
I mean,
he gauges the look on your face and just says, I have not worked with, I am assuming the recovery squad. He sort of like indicates to your horns. I've not worked with them directly. I do know of them and their work. They've protected the skies a number of times. That their work sometimes tends to open up trade routes if there are ever problems. The sort of like the aviators let us know that the recovery squad's working on it.
You haven't heard anything about them being actively deployed recently.
No, but it is likely something that would come up when I go to get the schedule approved, because we're going to have both ground transit and sky transit happening kind of simultaneously, and so that would be when I could look into it if you want to know.
Yeah, my parents are supposed to be on more on the retirement spectrum of their career. Just asked for advice and consultation rather than going out and doing missions nowadays, as far as I was aware. However, being told that they're no longer in consonance due to a mission or events for the recovery squad just has my curiosity piqued.
Sure. If I hear of any issues in the skies, I'll be sure to write you a note.
Yeah, that'd be great. I have my handy dandy book right here.
He kind of looks at you, sort of deciding on whether or not he should laugh or not. He says, okay.
I'm going to become a book hoarder by the end of this campaign. It's
Yeah.
just bound to happen.
You're gonna need your own bag of holding eventually.
I know, just for books. That's how I feel now. Right there.
So, anybody outside of Flint and Aesopp, as they're sort of having this conversation, you all look around and just sort of at a glance, it seems that like the two other contestants, Heartcrusher and Atil, as well as her assistant, are sort of like huddled around, just having a conversation of sorts. The Ferelias are speaking with just some like random bystanders, and it seems like Bali and Ellen Trugust are sort of clinking glasses in the distance and having a sort of lighthearted conversation themselves. If there's anything you would like to do.
I would like to go over to the rest of the contestants and just kind of like join in there, mingling.
All right, I want to give other people the opportunity just because you were talking to Avindir in that moment, and then I'll come
Right.
back to you.
For me, just kind of keeping eyes out. Really, but don't see obviously Vaughn, which I don't expect to. Biggest thing is just kind of occasionally throwing a glance over at Trugust to just kind of keep an eye, see if there's any indication. Now, I'm not stealthy enough to try and get close and listen in or anything, so I'm still gonna kind of stay over with my group or Drada at this point, and let's kind of keep an eye on, just make sure nothing funny is going on, or see if I can get a read on the person just in general of, so I get the feeling they're nervous or anything like that.
Okay, I want to ask you to make a insight check and then also a stealth check with advantage. Just sort of, you're not sneaking around, but I imagine you're trying to avert a gaze.
Yeah, I'm not trying to call any suspicion at all.
Yeah, but there could be that awkward moment where you lock eyes across the.
All right, so first, nope. Okay, it's my second 2 tonight, and then You said stealth, correct?
Yes, with advantage. Okay. I would say what you get the impression that just sort of at the moment it seems like she is just being very cordial, having a good time. You'd probably have to get closer and potentially expose yourself if you wanted to read her more closely.
Oh, I'm good.
But yeah, at a glance, seems like she's fine.
Other than that, just grabbing a beverage when the opportunity presents itself, but keeping an eye on her, and
Okay.
Polly Brightbeard for that matter. And if I happen to see Puddles, but I have not heard Puddles being mentioned, or at least I don't recall.
Yeah,
I know him as Puddles.
he has not arrived yet, and that may or may not be because I forgot to drag him onto the board. Mouse or Drata?
I think Mouse, especially because this was open to the public, Mouse is just having conversations and being friendly and making friends with strangers, but probably not the ones in the nicest clothes.
I think, yeah, Drada's definitely on the lookout for any red in the crowd. Yeah, I think maybe less is on a similar mission to Clax, but probably moving around, mingling, nodding, saying hi a bit more. To make themselves, disperse through whatever crowds they can find.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me a perception check, Drata. And then Mouse, as I decide what to do with that roll, Mouse, you strike up conversation with a couple people, and they're just like, "Oh, we're just so happy to be here. We didn't actually get to buy tickets, so we're only really just hearing about it." Who was it that won?
Aesopp. Tyrion. He's right over there. He's actually a friend of mine.
Really? What did he? You're talking to this young couple, both who are like tabaxi, like brown-haired tabaxi. Millie's camera frozen. I don't know if she's actually here. Nope, she died.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that, and I'll fast forward to Drada. You don't receive any kind of hint or clue that there is a woman in red, unfortunately. You did roll pretty perceptive, and I'm going to say that you have some pretty tuned in ears right now. But I'm going to ask you, with those tuned in ears, how close do you get to people, to some of the people who you might be interested in listening into?
If there's no one else around them, and I think it's, walking past, give them a nice, it's like 5 to 10 feet minimum. Make it look like I'm looking, at the various things around us, just taking in the sights, the smells, the sounds. If there are other people chatting them up around them, I will, and I can get closer by inserting myself into conversation. I will happily do so, and will hype Aesopp up while doing so, but we'll really try to be listening.
Okay. There's an opportunity to perhaps insert yourself that you see kind of approaching from the wings of this place. You see you see Ellen Trugust, who is currently talking to Bali from across the way, seems to make eye contact with somebody who appears to be a stranger to you. And it sort of starts waving them over. And what you, from your position in this, you kind of gauge that you could use this as a distraction to listen in, or perhaps, like, it seems like she's rapidly trying to finish a conversation with Bali, that you could perhaps listen into that instead.
So it's the choices between the rapid conversation that's finishing up or the conversation of the person she's bringing over.
Correct. And that, or both, if you want to somehow stealth or insert yourself into it. This is sort of like the freebie is catching one of the two conversations.
I would say start with the thing that looks hasty because that would draw my attention naturally, and then I can see if I can find a way to stay around in the vicinity.
Okay. I'm imagining that you're kind of. I'm going to move your token, and kind of what I'm imagining is happening. You're sort of like walking in this direction, passing by as they are wrapping up a conversation. And by the time the conversation wraps up, there's sort of like these two people who've sort of engaged, and you end up being like over here, if that makes sense. Roughly. I mean, this is all theater of the mind. I'm just using little tokens to pretend. But as you're sort of walking by, you hear Ellen speaking to Bali says, more insufferable people to speak with. I much prefer your company. And then Bali, still in there's probably like 20 seconds before they sort of are engaged in new conversation. Bali responds and says, any conversation with you is good conversation, especially when we're talking business. And, well, seems like you've got your hands full these days. And she says, well, we'll see how it goes. I think I have to secure the funding, and then and it's sort of that moment where a few additional people sort of pipe in, and she just says, oh, good to see you. And that's sort of the moment where you exit the ear sight, and you get the conversation that she's now wrapped up in like conversation that doesn't matter.
Okay, cool. So like weird flirty vibes and talk of business dealings and insufferable commoners. Great. Incredible.
Yeah. Total, it's noble stuff. Millie, I think you're back.
I am back on Discord on my phone, but I can't get into Foundry.
Okay. That's fine. There was I had paused as you were having a conversation with these commoners. You had pointed out Aesopp and said that he was a friend of yours, and they say, like, oh, really? How did you meet?
That's actually a really long story. But we've come to work together, and he absolutely dominated a competition. It's really a shame you didn't get to see his amazing exploits.
Well, what did he do? Tell me all about it.
Oh my gosh. So the first day he told this amazing story, and she'll just kind of break into a play-by-play of all 3 days. Really just pushing up how badass Aesopp was.
Okay. I am going to roll a I'm going to roll a performance on your behalf, just to see how you can sort of relay the story. It's an 11. I mean, it's a very mouse retelling, I think. You know,
it's almost too over the top to be believable.
Yeah, but it doesn't have the storyteller's pizzazz and the eloquence that Aesopp can provide. But you hit the points, and you know, it's sort of like telling somebody about your favorite movie, and you don't know them. They're like, oh, that sounds cool.
Had to be there.
Yeah, I mean, so you must be pretty important yourself.
I wouldn't say that. I just have cool friends.
The conversation continues, and they want to learn a little bit more about you. It's sort of like happy hour sort of talk at this point. They're just getting to know a new face, and they seem to be taking in everything that you give them about the left stars, and it's sort of you know marketing at minimum, good reputation being spread. I think it was Aesopp. You sort of had indicated you wanted to go talk to the competitors.
Yeah, be friendly. Be like, hi everyone. Haven't seen y'all for a couple days. Hope everyone's doing well.
You sort of approach, and Heart Crusher does what she does best, and she sort of comes up to you and sort of picks you up in a bear hug.
Crushing.
Oh, you're fine. She sets you down. How's it feel being champion?
It feels great. Unexpected, weird, exhausting. Is anyone else exhausted, or is it just me?
You look at the three of them, and they all seem pretty put together.
Okay, me. I didn't think I would be here, but great competition, great competitors. You guys put up a good fight. Especially you, Heart Crusher. No hard feelings at all from that last round. At all. Nothing I said was true during that performance. It was just for a show. Of course.
Heart Crusher looks like she's about to respond, but you see ATL's assistant sort of pipe up, and I forget if I've described this well, but there's sort of as her assistant is talking, you see the tattoos on ATL's face kind of softly glow. At a delay, it's almost like ATL's probably communicating this to the assistant, and the assistant is translating like a second later. It's not direct using their own voice, but the assistant speaks up and says, "Warm congratulations to you, Aesopp of the Minotaurs. You have done quite admirably."
Well, thank you, ATL. I appreciate that. I'll have to come visit you back in your home city that I totally remember the name of.
You're welcome to visit Amthras at any time.
Oh, thank you. I'll make sure to knock on your door when I arrive.
And and where will the champion be going in his next adventures?
That is a great question. It seems like we might be pulled in a few different places, so it's just setting those priorities straight. Avindir might have us doing one thing, but some group of people might need help from us doing another thing, and so it's just we honestly have no idea. I have no idea where we're going.
Heart Crusher pipes in and says, "So you're working for Avindir?"
He was the one who hired us as a group together. So, yeah.
I knew it. I could have beat you if the audience wasn't on your side.
If I remember correctly, there were more people on your end of the match than there were on my end.
Well, Listen, if you want to play to my strengths, and she sort of like has her fingers trembling on the maul that is strapped to her back. She says, "We can have another fight. In my court." The invitation's open. The invitation's open.
I appreciate the invitation.
Don't you want to be champion of that realm as well?
Not really.
I'll take it easy on you.
Sure. I totally see that. No, I can absolutely see you crushing me like a very squishy ball, just absolutely smashing the shit out of me, which is what you do best, of course. So, I'm good for now. We'll see. Who knows? I might buff up. You never know.
It's impossible for an NPC to have a successful persuasion check, but I'm going to roll one for her anyway. You're not obligated to do anything if she rolls a natural 20, but I just am curious. Like, she's giving you the eyes. The eyes, like, I really want to do this.
Okay. Have a roll. Have a roll.
Yeah. I mean, it's still -1. She's giving you the eyes like she really wants this, but
Maybe if we ever make our way to where you're from, Dusklight, we'll have the match then.
good enough. I'll see you there. You can bring your friends if you want. I'll bring some of mine.
I mean, sure. One-on-one, 1v1, whole group, doesn't matter to me.
You should probably bring your friends.
You're right. You're probably right. But what is your plan after all this?
Get back to it.
And that means
Killing things, probably.
true. What do
Yeah,
you do best?
so I'll see you when you're up there. And
Sounds good.
And Atiel, through her assistant, chimes in and says, we will be on our way back to Amthras soon as well, and look forward to your visit.
And I look forward to visiting as well. I've never been to either of your two home cities, so I'm actually looking forward to it.
The two of them sort of politely nod and start sort of wandering in some direction to go meet and mingle with somebody else. And Heartcrusher kind of like, there's the nature of like, these two elves are weird and mysterious, and
Right.
Heartcrusher kind of gives you the eyes of like, what's their deal? But then just sort of looks at you and is like, all right, well, be seeing you. Claps you on the back. Not too hard this time. It's more relaxed.
I'll attempt to do a hard pat on the back to Heartbreaker and be like, thanks for being a good competitor.
Yeah, and she wanders off.
And I'll like stand there and just kind of like stretch my body a little bit, because that original pickup she did just kind of like crushed my body a little bit. So I'm just kind of like, oh, never used to that at all.
Other people who are observing this, who may sort of see Aesopp speaking to the other competitors, would observe that as this conversation is wrapping up, that there seems to be people in line to kind of, not in a line, but there's people who are looking to insert themselves into Aesopp's sphere in order to make conversation. Among them, I mean, some of it is probably just random bystanders who want to like meet the champion. But among them, those of you who would be keeping an eye out for this, which I imagine to be at least Drada and Clax, do see the two Ferelias sort of eyeing Aesopp's general direction, and it seem like they will probably intercept him at some point soon.
I might just inch a little closer. Still not like I'm there, but within. I'm a companion. I'm a friend. I'm there to watch out. So I'm just going to stand back a bit and look intimidating if at all possible.
Within firing distance. It's fine if everything goes poorly.
You meet with a few other fans, potential fans, who probably are exhausting you to some point, but they seem genuinely excited to meet you. Nobody's like, you don't have the reputation that people are hyperventilating at your feet or anything like that.
Yet.
But you do sort of, after going through a few people, you do sort of see the Ferelias approaching.
My mood instantly changes. it goes from like, oh, haha, yeah, like more of like a happier, peppier mood with people I don't know, like fans, if you want to call them. Aesop definitely wouldn't consider them fans, just people. Um, Goes from that happier, cheerier mood to like serious, not knowing that they were there, just kind of like, good day.
I'll say at the same time, not the exact same time, but around the same time, you see that Destin and Puddles have arrived and are sort of being greeted by Avindir and a few random people, just for general awareness. But the two Forelias sort of approach you and they say, "It's Glasses, the woman who sort of says, Aesopp, was it? Seems that you are the champion."
Sure seems like that, yeah. It was a shame you weren't on my side, though, during the last round.
Pardon? Was I supposed to be? Did I owe you that?
No, just curiosity.
I chose the best seat that I could find.
That's fair. I didn't know they were doing splitting the room in half either, so I'm just glad that my friends were on my side.
They're sort of eyeing you hard over like, what direction is this conversation going? Before the male speaks up, Guros, and he says, "Was it Titlefall University, I believe? Better than I would expect from a Titlefall graduate."
It was. Learn from the best. Dr. Drupal himself saw potential and kind of curated my talents to hopefully what you saw during the competition. I don't know if you're familiar with any of the professors there, but
I haven't heard good things about your doctor, but you seem
may I
to
ask
have...
from where?
Well, I mean, when's the last time you've heard of anybody good coming out of Titlefall?
Keeping that as a mental note. I mean, people can become great individuals / heroes from whatever background they come from. Doesn't matter what college they graduate from or what kind of family they are born into, is it?
Well, that's very noble of you to believe, but not our experience.
Are any of the rest of us clocking that this conversation is happening? And
Yeah, I mean,
I was gonna say.
yeah, you guys are, I mean, you are in the vicinity. Clack said he's sort of standing nearby looking strong, but I imagine it's still sort of on the periphery. You know?
Yeah, I want to give him his space. This isn't my area to intervene, but
Yeah. You guys
if things
can...
look like they're going south, I'm going to step
Yeah.
up. But
I would say anybody who wants to be in range of hearing doesn't have to roll for it. So if you choose to sidle in some way, feel free to interrupt.
I would say that I have eyes up, and if Aesop looks like he's looking around, I will take it as an opportunity to introduce myself.
And so what is the champion of the Tournament of Tales going to do with his newfound prestige?
I definitely wouldn't call it prestige, but we might be, it seems like we're being pulled in a few different places, and just wherever the priorities lie, guess we'll go there first. What about you? Any plans? Traveling back? Future goals?
The Glasses sort of looks at you and says, "You ask quite personal questions. Rest assured, it is none of your business. But
Just trying to form a relationship. That's what we generally try to do.
I assure you that this was nothing more than a pleasantry."
Sure.
Well, I suppose I'll check this off the list. We've met. Good day.
Hope your daughter's doing well. I'll walk off.
Do you know her?
I'm not gonna respond.
As I see him
I-
walking away, I'll walk towards him to give him someone to talk to.
You'll just hear, just because you walk away, and
I do.
they're not yelling at you behind your back, but you do hear the final words of like, the mother is sort of says, everybody who comes out of Title Fall's a failure. That's it. It's not spoken to you. It's spoken to the husband. You pick up on it, and they walk away. at the
Spicy.
same time.
Weird though. It's so weird that they say that. Talk about it later. But well, it's so weird.
Yeah, and you end up approaching Clax as part of the walking away.
Well, that looked like it was a lot of fun.
Oh, they just came in with the wrong attitude, and it's been an exhausting few days, and I did the best I could to keep my pleasantries up, but they weren't really doing a great job of just they were being themselves. Never met them before, but now I understand where their daughter got it.
Well, I can tell you what, there's Avindir's given a good name to nobles compared to what I've known, and from what I observed there, they look like every other noble.
I sure felt and their auras.
Speaking
Not
of nobles and auras, it's sort of this moment where another couple faces approach, and you see your good friend Puddles approaching, saying, "Well, if it isn't the champion."
Hello, how are you?
He looks at Clax and says, "Friend of yours."
Yes.
Up.
He sort of like straightens his clothes in front of Clax, recalling, because it was many weeks ago that you had tripped him some time ago.
Is there a problem?
Well, the company you keep, for starters.
What?
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh, you know. But it's fine. Today's a celebration, I think is what they're calling it.
Sure is. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Exhausting couple of days probably for you as well.
Everything is going quite well, isn't that right, Destin? And Destin sort of pops out from behind him and just sort of like meekly waves, and sort of says, "Yeah, everything's great." And Dark Draft sort of says, "Business is booming. Mission accomplished. Thanks for providing the venue for us to come and meet."
I mean, I wanted everyone who was still here when the festivities and tournament was over to, all get together and exchange pleasantries. Good sportsmanship.
Roll an insight check. You probably don't have to, but and Clax, you're up close enough to roll this as well.
Ooh.
Oof.
I'm exhausted.
He rolled that one, still outrolled me.
I mean, you don't have to roll high to know that he doesn't care. I won't give you more than that.
Yeah.
But this is just sort of like, there was more to learn, but even without rolling, he doesn't care. And he just says, "Well, I have some people to meet with. Destin, don't go too far."
I was about to ask if I could have just a quick conversation with Destin.
Sure, whatever. He leaves.
As he's
Before
leaving.
he leaves, Clax, if you got this, you got this.
Oh, I was just gonna say, just watch your step as he leaves, and then You do whatever.
He turns around and just gives you the squinty eyes.
Well, see, I was gonna see if I could just cast a really, really small entangle, just for like one vine over the.
Oh, this would be perfect. Be perfect.
I don't want to make a ruling that you can always do this, but for now, it's good flavor. So yes.
Fantastic.
I
Well,
will
if he didn't
ask-
do it, I was going to telekinetic shove him. So
I mean, you could
Do both.
double team this and make it like a roll with disadvantage for him to get out of it.
Can I go ahead and woe this roll so he has to subtract a d6?
Christ. Yes, you may. So is this a strength saving throw, I believe? Well, it would be strength if it... I would say it would be strength if it was entangling, but you're just trying to, like, put a vine in front of his foot for him to trip over. So I'm going to give him a dex check with disadvantage because he's being shoved, and
-6.
You guys are vindictive. And I love it.
He seems to not let. Oh,
Oh,
Oh.
I mean, one of the
Good thing.
dice wanted it to
Yeah.
work, but do you want to roll a d4 just to see how bad it is?
Sorry, is that me?
Yes, for woe,
It's actually a
or is it a d6?
D6.
Ooh,
1-6. Ah,
Aw.
that's 7.
It's
I
still
mean,
pretty bad.
Yeah, I think the DC is probably 14 or something. So, you say don't trip, and Dark Draft sort of like, I think I'm imagining that it doesn't happen immediately. That might be fishy, but it's sort of
wait till he's far enough away that it clearly isn't Clax.
Yeah, it's he turns around to kind of like, it's to give you a rude gesture, and then and at this point he's walking away as he does this, and as soon as he turns his back to you again, he falls over. And then
I'll just have me and Destin just walk along in the other direction.
at this point, Clax is losing it. Like, there's no even holding a straight face at this point. He is hands on his legs, rolling. Oh, belly laugh, hoping as many people turn witnesses as possible. He is rolling.
he quickly gets up, dusts himself off, and sort of scorns at you. You don't really know. You know, he is probably paranoid enough to wonder if somebody did something, but it seemed. I mean, it's a
I
loud
don't even know
crowd.
if I know what happened, right?
Yeah, you might not.
Yeah. So I'm just like laughing up. I'm like, oh, that is so perfect. Oh my god. Could you believe that? He tripped through his own feet. Oh.
He huffs off. There's mild chuckles in the immediate vicinity. You get the impression that you are definitely the loudest, though.
Oh, that's fine. I am all about
It's
that.
sort of infectious laughter. There's people laughing because you're laughing.
By the way, did I notice the help from my compatriots?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are professionals.
Yeah.
Hey, if they don't tell me, I don't know. But I'm gonna tell this story when we get together later. It's gonna be so great.
Aesopp, you walk off with Destin and make an insight check on Destin.
Be better than a 1, please.
Well, it's better than one.
It's better than 1.
A 12 is enough to see a sigh of relief from Destin just with proximity to Dark Draft.
I know you probably have a lot of things you need to do within the company of we call bottles, but Mr. Dark Draft, just remember that you have your own opinion when it comes to things. Don't let him talk over you. And it may seem hard now, but just you'll thank yourself later.
I'm not going to make you roll persuasion because I know that you by default roll super high. But there's a nature of, like, you caught him off guard. He was just taking a moment to be to relax, and then you sort of give him this advice that he wasn't expecting, and he sort of says, "Thanks. Was that obvious?"
And it just kind of seems like his personality to do so, unfortunately.
Yeah, but well, I don't even. He sort of like is fumbling his words as he always has been, and he sort of says, "I don't even understand why I am his puppet. Just because I'm from the pond, but I don't live there anymore."
Where do you, if you don't mind me asking, where do you live?
Well, I'm studying at the Source Institute.
Hmm.
Which is in Flamebridge, so.
I don't think it's anything odd or like an odd reason why he's triumphantly parading you around, is it?
He sort of, I think, shrugs in a way that is sort of like a young teenager who doesn't really know any better.
Right.
And sort of says, I couldn't tell you. But he is pretty annoying. I like the name.
Yeah. Definitely use that name under wraps, though he will probably hate it.
He just sort of like smiles and nods his head.
Just take care of yourself. And hopefully we'll see each other soon.
Does Destin bear any remote resemblance to Puddles?
I mean, you could roll. I'm trying to think, like a nature check. It's just like a creative throw out there sort of thing.
Family
Sure.
lineage check.
Both humans, different hair color. Probably the best you can really get.
Fair enough.
I'm imagining, I haven't moved your token, but you can kind of be around this conversation. I kind of imagining after Aesopp got hounded by the Ferelias and then Dark Draft, that the entire party is probably floating nearby.
Oh, I lost track of the map, but yes. I don't know where I ended up on the map.
You're right there.
Cool.
I think at some point, actually, Flint would probably wander off to a quiet spot away from the crowds and just ritually cast Detect Magic, and then just try and do a lap of the crowd and just see if anything like looks like maybe someone's not who they say they are, or there's anything notably weird.
Okay, go ahead and roll me I'm going to say an investigation check.
All right.
There's a level of like ambient stuff you can pick up on, but
Sure, I'm sure there's lots of bits of magic here.
yeah. There's no like in sort of looking to see if anybody is anything that they're not. You don't pick up any kind of like illusion magic, anything like that. Nor do you pick up anything strong at all. I will say that you do get a few glows off of Avindir. Not just sort of what you know to be the book in his jacket pocket, but he does have a dagger that is sort of like could just be a utility everyday dagger, not like a weapon, but it definitely is giving off a glow of magic to it. And then there's also a sort of like a light glow of some kind that is coming out from under his shirt. You imagine there might be like a necklace or something under there. Atiel, I'm kind of imagining you're scanning everybody over the course of like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Atiel, her tattoos are glowing actually quite vibrantly with evocation magic. And Heart Crusher, her mace is glowing. They're sort of like what you imagine to be standard stuff for people. Some of the nobles seem to be wearing things that sort of might remind you of the Cloak of Many Fashions that I think either Drada or Aesopp has right now, or perhaps are kind of like minor protection, like abjuration cloaks of some kind, like simple things that somebody important might have just for basic protection's sake. You don't pick up anything sort of wild in this area. Nothing that sort of stands out to you as like, oh shit.
Okay. I think beyond that, I would maybe actually approach ATL and just try and effectively talk shop to her about her tattoos and just, kind of compare them to my own and things a little bit.
Roll a persuasion check just to kind of like fast forward through that conversation a little bit.
Not best.
Okay.
Not bad.
What you know is, or what is sort of communicated to you is that that they're. Hold on. To pull up my notes. What is described to you is that there's an elven tattoo artist named Eloise within Amthras that does magical tattoos, and that this was sort of provided to Atiel as a result of her condition is that she's mute, and it was sort of provided as a means of telepathic conversation.
What was the name of the tattooist?
Eloise.
And where were they located?
In Amthras.
Anthrax. Okay.
Is anybody else doing anything kind of major during this time? Trying to pick up things, or is it just sort of small talk, mingling, etc.?
For me, same
Small
as
talk.
earlier. Yeah, just kind of keeping an eye on, especially with Puddles now in the mix and his reaction while I'm still grinning ear to ear. Definitely kind of keeping sidelong glances just because I don't know what an idiot like him would do.
Perhaps maybe the most important and major thing of the night, Trada is also giving sidelong glances, but they are of yearning for the only love of their life, Dustin.
Of course, yes. But with your both of you making sort of glances and listening into Puddles and group, I'll allow the two of you to make sort of one last round of perception checks as sort of Puddles is now himself making the rounds to speak to some of the other VIPs.
I had my third 2 of the night, so I'm
There we
still
go.
too busy laughing and just replaying it in my mind.
I guess lust and longing really gets you a nat 20.
Yeah, Clax, it's too loud here. You're enjoying yourself too much. All sorts of reasons why you don't pick up quite what Drada is able to pick up. Drada, you find another sort of opportunity to drive by conversations that are happening with some of the VIPs, and you find that at some point, Dark Draft ends up talking to True Gust, and you sort of pick up on a conversation that indicates his involvement in some kind of business as well. They very clearly aren't speaking. They're very. You're tuned in to the fact because you know what Klax wants you to be listening for, but they are very abstract about the way that they're talking about this. And it's sort of what you were able to sort of ascertain, because you rolled a 28. I'm kind of speeding through a longer conversation that you're listening into. What you're able to ascertain is that both Ellen and Dark Draft, who are the only two talking in this moment, so this might apply to Bali as well, but both Ellen and Dark Draft are planning to make major purchases of the casks, and that they are both sort of expecting to have funds available to them to do that. They all seem, the two of them seem quite excited about the business of the year and sort of taking advantage of this opportunity to get on this, as they expect prices to rise with Avindir's retirement. But they have sort of a schemy voice to them. Like they know something that other people don't, but they haven't said what it is. Or that they have a plan of some kind.
Don't like a scheme. Don't like a plan. I mean, love a scheme, love a plan, just not. Whenever we all come back together, I'll communicate this information.
But as this is sort of wrapping up, there's sort of a quiet that hits the crowd as you all do see a group of unifiers walking up. It's sort of more of the sound of heavy boots that are hitting the dirt below, and sort of the shuffling of full plate armor, as sort of a retinue of 5 unifiers come from the southern end of this, and all of them are wearing helmets. In fact, you do not sort of. They all look uniform in that way. There's no individual person who is standing out. And you're probably left to wonder, like, is the guest from the capital a person, or is it just a group of unifiers? One of them does remove their helmet, which is pretty irregular. And you see a sort of half-orc figure with pretty graying hair and sort of a stern face, who sort of holds the helmet below, it's kind of like under the armpit. Actually, no, he would hand it off to somebody else. He hands off the helmet to one of the other unifiers and sort of raises his arms in an effort to get the crowd's attention. And you all start to see as sort of like faces turn to observe the people who have come in. The individual speaks up and says, "My name is Mole of the Unifiers, and I come here to grant a heroic quest to Aesopp of Tiern. Sorry, GM mistake again. Aesopp Tiern.
I'll casually walk up in front of other people, just do a little bow.
There's a light clapping from the audience as you approach. It's sort of like the moment that the champion takes the stage. And Mole pulls out a scroll that had been kind of affixed opposite of the sword on his belt. And he kind of makes a show of pulling off breaking a seal on the scroll that shows the sort of in yellow wax and shows the sunburst of the Unifier's seal that sort of signifies the voice of the crown as well. And he, taking it off and unraveling the scroll, he speaks up with a voice that sort of carries throughout the crowd and says, "Ventus the King, keeper of the light and defender of justice, hereby recognizes and congratulates the victor of the Tournament of Tales. Your contribution to the people is most appreciated by the Crown. As a reward, you are hereby given an opportunity to contribute directly to Ventus at large." There's a pause as people sort of wait to hear what it is. And he says, "You, Aesopp, are hereby permitted to hunt and capture the great sky dragon, whose calamitous gusts create difficult conditions for airships all across the winds. Do this, deliver the dragon to the castle, and gain both favor and audience with Ventus." I will copy paste that for you into Discord when the game is over. There is a sort of immediate murmuring throughout the crowd, and you also turn to hear Dark Draft sort of let out a hearty laugh at what he believes to be the absurdity of the quest.
I give not a super nasty look, but just like dead-eye pan look at Dark Draft. A look of, I'll remember that.
I turn and whisper to Drada, I don't see any problem with us killing a dragon, but how in the world are we supposed to deliver it to a castle?
That seems like a fair question. I have a question before that. It's a sky dragon. It's in the sky. We're gonna get in the sky. You don't have a boat.
I'm sure Aesopp will figure it out. He's the champion.
Mouse, you could roll a history check as a skyship person, actually. I would actually say this with advantage.
Yeah. Unfortunately, history is also intelligence, which is not my strong suit.
Yeah, I'm gonna say maybe you've heard of a dragon. You know what a dragon is. It's something like Klax.
This is fair.
So this sky dragon isn't just common knowledge. It's
I would let anybody else roll with disadvantage.
Sure. History.
Anyone else or any?
Everybody else.
Okay.
Okay.
Nope.
All the dice. Okay.
how many dice?
Yeah, Flint. Flint, I would say you've heard rumor of it, and it's sort of, I'm also going to say it's been on the map the whole time.
Yeah, I was looking at the map and saw, oh, there is a dragon thing in the corner.
Yeah. It has, you don't know quite the. You don't know, sort of have a full history of it. You do understand sort of a legend that the dragon is sort of the winds are its home, and it has been it is sort of the arbiter of like what allows Ventus to grow. If it does not, if it is not protecting an island, then Ventus must be free to colonize it. If that makes sense, like it is sort of seen as a fable in that way, of that the great dragon is either a protector or a barrier towards sort of like economic growth. That is the angle at which you would know about this. Like traders or merchants or things of that nature. Like they don't really like the dragon.
Okay. So the symbology of us, quote, capturing this dragon would be simply like giving Ventus free reign to go colonize everything.
That would be your guess. That would be your guess with a 15. The
Okay.
DC of solid knowledge was going to be a 20. So that's sort of like the rumor mongering DC that you've got.
Okay.
I will just add one thing to like just for your awareness, and this is also for Aesopp. The islands on this map that are not colored in are sort of indicative of like places that are not colonized by the mainland, but they are known islands that people have been to, but they aren't sort of like part of the Ventus landmass, if that makes sense. And with that, the half orc sort of rolls up the scroll, hands it to Aesopp, and then sort of retrieves his helmet and puts it back on. And sort of there's sort of the moment of like the ceremony has concluded. That's all they came here to do. And there's sort of nodding to you, nodding to the host, and they, unless anybody interrupts them, start to walk off from where they came. This has created just sort of a moment of confusion in the crowd, minus Dark Draft, who's still just sort of chuckling to himself and has probably started to get a little bit of infectious laughter from those close to him. But people are just sort of like, you're listening to people say, great sky dragon, what's that? And then somebody else is like, it must be big and bad. And then somebody's like, well, how do you capture it? Are they supposed to kill it? And it's just sort of a lot of the questions that you're asking in your own head are echoing throughout the crowd.
Just kind of stand there, kind of reading over the quest with the scroll. Not really. Trying not to show emotion on the face because I know people are watching. So
I will try to get away from everybody else and just shout, 3 cheers for our champion! Try and get the conversations more in a party feel.
You know what? People are looking for that right now. They've been drinking. They don't need the confusion, and you get a response that brings things a little bit back to normalcy. There's still a few lingering people, but people have gotten back to drinking and seem to be satisfied. And I'll say, just so that you all can have a moment to check in with each other, as Mouse creates this distraction and then runs to return to the group, the 5 of you find yourself kind of rendezvousing in the midst of all of this that has been happening for the first time over the last hour and a half of this party. If there's anything you'd like to talk about.
I'll just continue looking at the scroll, trying to just get it through my thick skull, I guess, because it just seems impossible to me. Just be like, we have a lot to discuss.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, you guys should see the best part of the night, though. Let me tell you about fucking Puddles. So Puddles was being all Puddles like, and he went to go turn away, and I was like, "Hey, don't trip." And then no shit, like 2 steps later, he ate dirt. It was the
No.
greatest thing ever. It was so perfect.
I
Like,
missed it.
oh, you
Man.
is when you turned with Destin. Oh, you didn't hear me laughing? I mean, I was belly laughing.
I mean, I just assumed you saw something funny. I was, yeah.
Oh no. Puddles ate dirt. It was
Oh,
fantastic.
Flint
Anyone
would have
else
a
catch
big
it?
grin on his face and whatnot, but just let Clax have it.
Oh yeah, no. Otto like gives a smirk at Flint and then just turns away.
Oh, I'm gonna carry that with me for a very long time. Oh, poetic. So nice. But
so,
yeah.
do you guys want to like, I don't know, figure out how to ruin these Forellians?
That was my first time actually meeting them, and I now see where their daughter's personality came from. However, a repeated statement that came out of the mother's mouth, which, oh, nasty woman, just that nothing good comes out of Titlefall University. She said that, which of course I know is not true. However, her daughter and I went to the same school and attended the same classes, just had like different tutoring. So I don't know. I don't know if there's like a weird relationship with their daughter, but clearly they have an opinion of the school we went to. It just boggles my mind.
Rules are fucking crazy sometimes. Then Drada uses that as a springboard to be like, "Oh, by the way, I heard some fun things. So I'm sorry that you had to have that conversation and had to be yelled at by people who do not deserve to be in the same room as you." But and then delivers all the tea about there's something going on with Ellen and potentially Bali and Dark Draft and the sale of alcohol, and there's scheming afoot.
What do you think they're up to?
Just really overheard, but like they kept referring to like once Avindir retires, not just like expecting, but like really expecting prices to rise, to be making a hefty be able to afford to buy casks of his alcohol, and two, to be making some good money based on this deal. And they said this with a certainty that made me think, not everything here is above the table. Like, don't have anything super tangible, but they're all talking and they're all scheming, and they had business that seemed urgent to discuss.
What would cause the price to rise even more so than Avindir retiring?
It's only one thing I could think of. Retirement doesn't mean you can't make more.
You don't think they're trying to like end him, do you?
I don't want to go that far, but I think we need to have a conversation with Avindir.
I mean, maybe Avindir is very intentional when he hired us for security. Maybe he might know a thing or two.
I was about to say, maybe he already knows. We
You
haven't really
know-
like seen him interact with these people, have we?
You have seen him like meet and greet, but not
Yeah.
one-on-one meetings.
So I had the thought when we looked at his schedule that one of the things in there notes that he has so he's selling 99 kegs, but he's got the right to hold on to an additional 25 in his private stores. And if he's been doing that like every year for I don't know how long he's been making this brandy, but like he might have a shitload of this stuff saved up, like a ton of it. And I don't know if maybe I had the thought when I saw it of like, gee, I hope he's got somewhere really secure to store all of that. I don't know if maybe they'd be trying to like steal it or sabotage it or something to, even if they don't get his supply, if people just know that his supply is jeopardized, would it drive the price up of everybody else's holdings?
Anything that would affect perceived demand?
You know?
What is Mouse's reaction to this conversation about supply and demand?
Yeah, Mouse is just kind of looking and then sort of gives up trying to like figure out the value, like that things change price for reasons, and just starts looking back up to the sky to see if she sees her eagle again.
No. I imagine that you waited hours for it before.
Oh yes, it's just I can't be a part of this conversation. Ooh, birds.
Yeah, I think regardless, it's probably worth chatting with Avindir and encouraging him to up security, whether that's us or otherwise. And I don't know what his private stores look like, but making sure they are secure seems important.
Yeah, do we wanna mosey over and have the chat now?
Might as well.
You can find him at a opportune time. He finishes talking to just a couple of other folks, and you're far enough away, because I'm imagining you're looking for respectable distance from particular people as you have this conversation. But you catch Avindir at a moment that he sees you all approach and sort of raises an eyebrow, maybe not expecting you all to come at one time, and just says, "How's the party? You guys doing okay?"
Yeah, we, in just sort of our usual carousing and, whatnot, overheard some things that I don't think we have anything concrete, but just made us think there might be some folks scheming with regards to your brandy. And
People have been scheming over my brandy for decades.
fair. Is there anything?
Aren't you guys gonna? Are you guys? I mean, it's a party. Come on. We can talk about this later.
Fair enough.
I mean, sorry. If you want to talk about it now, you take a look at him, and he actually looks a little buzzed in this moment. And he says, of course, I can make time for you. I just, it's Aesopp's big day."
For our own peace of mind, are your private stores and just, the stock that you're planning to sell here soon very well secured?
His face sours a little bit in the sort of like giving you a hard look, and says, "I assure you, Gris has it taken care of."
Okay.
Cheers to a fantastic celebratory event and to a worldly quest.
He kind of lets out a soft chuckle, not in a mean way like Dark Draft, but says, "Cheers to that." And we will end the game there, because that might I feel like the party is wrapping up. There's not a whole lot more to get out of it, but we can potentially get a little bit more out of it at the beginning of next session. And I will have the quarry re-prepared, should you guys wish to go there. So thanks for playing.
Such a great return back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry that we'll wait another 3 weeks to play again, probably.
Holidays.
All good. All good. But just in case I don't